Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Startup Story event. We're still probably missing a few people, but we'll start it off now so that we can also respect everyone's time. Thank you so much for the ones of you joining. I hope you have a nice lunch next to you, so you're not going to be starving during these hours. I'm really happy. Today is actually the first Startup Story event of this year. Many of you are always joining again. Last year we had 13 different ones on different topics interesting for entrepreneurs. So I think this one is one that resonates with many people. The title is AI Insights for Startups. So of course, it's during a time where these topics are very interesting. So I'm sure we'll learn a lot from today's experts. But before we get into that a bit more, I will quickly introduce myself and Vanessa. I am Linda Erne. I am from the Impact Hub Zurich, and I am a project manager there. And together with Vanessa, we are hosting the event today. Do you quickly want to? Yes, that's Vanessa.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Also from my side, I'm really looking forward to today's event. And yeah, looking forward to also the events to come that Linda will introduce in a second.
Exactly. Thanks, Vanessa. So also in the meantime, if you have any questions for Startup Campus or Impact Hub, you can reach out to us in the chat function. Good. Then what we'll expect us today. So we'll have a quick introduction about what Startup Campus does and what our programs are. Then we will have the ETH Entrepreneurship and ETH AI Center, who will quickly introduce their programs, because today's event is actually in collaboration between ETH and Startup Campus. So we're really happy about this collaboration. And then we will move into both of our inputs that we're having. The first one by Jerome Zurcher and Sophie Boyle, and then the second one by Federico Pirovano. And after that, we will have the Q&A part. This will be about 30 minutes, so everyone should feel comfortable to ask their questions if you have any. Also, in the meantime, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat as well. It's a pretty informal setting, so feel free to just jump in with questions if you have any. And then at the end, you can put on your camera and your audio if you don't have that already, and we can just have a bit of a dialogue together with our speakers. And then we should hopefully finish, or we will finish punctually at 1:30. So just a quick exciting thing up front. If you don't have a co-working space yet and you're looking for a place to check some places out, you should come by the Impact Hub in Zurich. We have 3 super cool locations that are all located really centrally. And if you want to check them out, you can scan this QR code, and 10 people who will fill out the form will actually get a free day pass. So be quick now. We'll also send the link in the chat. We want to kind of figure out who our target audience is a bit more, so we can also target all of our memberships a bit more towards this startup community that we have. That's also part of this event today. So if you would fill out the form, that would be amazing. And then yeah, we have 10 free kits that we can give out. So that's quite a lot. So your chances of winning are super high. Yes, so we'll share the link as well. Go get your free ticket. Then I'll just quickly introduce the Startup Campus a bit more. So we have a few different modules. I won't get into all of them into detail, but just the ones that are probably most interesting to you today. So the first one is actually module 1. That's business ideas. This is the events that we're having right now. So you are already aware of these event series that we have. We have most of them online. Some of them are in person, and they're always targeted towards aspiring entrepreneurs or people interested in entrepreneurship in general. As I said, last year we had a lot of different events. Some of them were on how to build a startup with an exit strategy, how to find the right co-founding match, just topics that are important for entrepreneurs. And the next one that we have that's coming up is about how to craft your IP strategy. This one is going to be in person. So if you're interested or need some help with any IP questions, It would be really nice to see you there. We'll also share the link in the chat so you can register for the next event that we're having. Then another course that we have is a 12 weeks acceleration program. This is targeted towards people who maybe are just starting off with their startup, or they more have a technical background. They're maybe not so used to the business aspects of a startup yet. This is a great way to just kick off those entrepreneurial skills. You learn everything from how to build how to make a business model, how to find your value proposition, what you need to consider in terms of fundraising and IP strategy, etc. And at the end of the 12-week program, we have an event with all of our ecosystem partners, so you can get to know the ecosystem a bit better. Again, here is the QR code if you want to sign up. Then the last one is another course by Startup Campus, which is targeted a bit more towards social entrepreneurship. I won't go into detail on those, but you can also find more information on our website in case you are a social entrepreneur and you want to kickstart your idea a bit, or you already have kickstarted and want to grow it a bit more. There are different programs that might be interesting for you. If you want to, you can follow us on social media, so you always stay up to date on all of the different programs you have. I know it's a bit confusing because we have so many. So if you just stay connected with us on here, you always see which ones are coming up. Good, and that's actually the part from Startup Campus. If you have any more questions towards the programs that we have, feel free to message Vanessa or myself. We're happy to answer the questions. And then I would like to hand over the word to our event partners from today, which is ETH Zurich. We have Maria Friedrich from the ETH Entrepreneurship, and then we have Vanessa Allensbach from ETH AI Center. So I'm happy to give over the word to you, Maria.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, hello everyone. Nice to see that so many people joined today this lunch to talk with us. Well, from my side, I'm gonna talk a bit about ETH entrepreneurship and how we support the startups. But as we have a center specifically focused on AI startups, I also invited Vanessa to join so she can explain a bit better what are we also doing to support startups in this field. So I can share now my video, right? My presentation?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. So we are the group at ETH Entrepreneurship that it's really focusing on supporting the transference of ideas into the society. And our best way to do it is thanks to or through the spin-offs. And the idea is that we are here to support founders, students, professors, researchers that have an idea and wants to develop a company out of it. So we can support them in a very early stage phase. This is our role, in the university. And we have a team with many people with a different focus. Some we are more in charge of the programs for the founders. Some are in charge of the Pioneer Fellowship. And also we have people really focused on, for example, the facilities and the lab that we can also offer to the entrepreneurs. If you want to, you can contact and follow us on social media, and we can communicate later through other channels. And the idea is that at ETH Entrepreneurship, and also in general, we have many things to support the ideas from the beginning to hopefully unicorns or exits, acquisitions, by other companies. So in the early phases, we have, for example, Talent Kick. We have also some courses in entrepreneurship that students can take. The AI Center also is supporting startups from the beginning. We have also an Entrepreneur Club, which is a student-run organization that also it's inspiring students in the early stage. They also offer, for example, free space, not free space, but a co-working space for the founders with a very, very good price, not free, but with a very good price. And then we have, for example, also the makerspace at the Student Project House, which is also a very nice environment where you can try to to find out if your idea can be a good idea. And it's the space where you can really start with your startups. Then we have also ETH Juniors, which is more like a consulting company, but through juniors, also we see that many companies are starting there. And then we have some offerings, really, for example, promoting, for example, sustainability in this example with ETH for development. Then when the ideas are a bit more advanced, we have the Pioneer Fellowship, which is an incubation and acceleration program where you can have a grant for 1 year to develop your idea. And also at the same time, at this stage, close to the foundation of a spin-off, we can support a lot the founders before with some advice, with some also support on how to navigate the ecosystem, how to really formally start your company out of research. And then also after you incorporate your company, you can also have some support from us. For example, offer access to lab space, to office space, access to the industry partners, connections with investors, and other things. And then at the end, more like towards after the incorporation of a company, or the venture, let's say it's a bit before because it's more for business ideas. But then once you have a solid idea, you can also, for example, apply to the Zurich, which has a focus on regenerative medicine and robotics, and the SABIC, which supports startups more like related to the space. So if you can think that you can benefit from one of these offerings, I recommend to go check the website. You will find information there because there are many things. Most of the offering is for ETH community, but not everything. So you can go and check. Maybe you have a friend also who's part of our institution, and maybe you can also get access to our offering. And the idea is that also we know that there's many more things happening in the Swiss startup ecosystem. So we have partnerships with other organizations. So for the founders, they can also always go and try to see what else is happening around. And that's why we don't have everything really at ETH, because we know, for example, that startup campus exists, and also our founders can go there and benefit for this program. So the idea is that we are one part more of the ecosystem, but we are not alone. And we know that it's already very rich, but we are always trying to think and develop new ideas for our founders, and trying also to connect with the external partners. Maybe just I won't go through this, but to have an idea of since when are we supporting startups. We started with the spin-off label in 1973, so even before it's here. And since then, we were always trying to focus on how can we transfer. It's even in our purpose of the institution to transfer the knowledge to the society. So since then we were always evolving, trying to make things better for founders, easier at the beginning, because we know that it's not an easier path to start your own company, but it's also possible. And maybe here quickly, so in these 50 years of the spin-off label, we already more than 580 companies were founded, and we are proud of it, and we would like to have a larger number, but of course it's also the quality of the spin-off. So the idea is that we can also keep the level, the quality, the success, and increase the number with that. And through the Pioneer Fellowship, which has now more than 15 years, or more or less, we've supported 134 projects, and most of them are very successful spin-offs. In terms of capital, I wouldn't mention last year as a very good year, because maybe but it wasn't really a great year to raise money, but we hope good times are coming now. And maybe quickly to go into the programs, we have a coaching, we have events, which some of them are open for the whole community. We try to also increase the networking within the founders and also with other partners. We can also offer mentoring, the acceleration with the Pioneer Fellowship. We have a co-working space and lab space. And now we launch a new platform. It's Investors Connect. The idea is that it's still on developing, but we want to provide a platform, a formal platform to connect startups with investors. So this is the new thing that should be live very, very soon, which will allow really the founders and the investors community to interact much better. And yeah, as we said before, we are trying also to do a lot of community building, sometimes in the Rocket Hub, which is our co-working space, but also within the cohorts of founders. For example, last year we had a new 43 companies, and the idea is that we want to really keep close all this community of founders, because we know that in the long term, yeah, all these connections will be very beneficial for every founder. And yeah, for the Pioneer Fellowship, just in case we have some students from master or PhD from ETH, you need to apply around the end of your master or PhD. And the idea is we can support your idea with a grant up to 150,000 francs for 12 or 18 months, depends if you are 1 or 2 team members. And the idea is that you can really transition from the lab to the market. Yeah, maybe not in medtech cases, but in some of the cases during this time, you will be able to really validate your idea and start with launching your company. So if you think that you can apply, please contact us later. And yeah, I can also answer some questions at the end. And maybe to have an idea, all these great companies were founded through this program. You can, for example, here see in the middle Planted, as you may know, and other very interesting companies, which thanks to this program, they found their way. And as a new initiatives, we have the backpack series and the innovation series. So also these are very inspiring events, and you can join us on the events. You can check our website for more dates. And also, for example, on this backpack series, we are also launching a podcast. So you can also go to Spotify and find out what happened in our last event last year. It was about how to start with your own company. Maybe some can be interesting for you. So you can go and check it out. And the Spin-off Vintage, it's the new also program that we have. It's to create really a group of every new year of companies. So this is something that it's happening nowadays, very, very new. That's why we were like mentioning before, the idea of creating a community is thanks to this program. So we really like to have the founders closer, and we are using this opportunity to do that. And the Innovation Series is an event where we showcase what we are doing to investors. So we invite some companies related with a topic, for example, AI, robotics, medtech, and we invite investors. So this is also to show how are we engaging with the investor community and how are we supporting the founders to get in touch with them. And this is just like a last picture of what do we offer in terms of office space and lab space. So if you think that in the future you would like to benefit from all this offering, please stay in touch with us, and I'm here to answer more questions at the end. So that's it from my side.
Perfect, thanks a lot. And I will directly jump in, if that's okay, from the AI Center side. Perfect. Yes, so basically, I mean, Maria already mentioned a little bit of what we do. Our main vision and mission is really to support AI startups, also from very early on. And maybe just to give you a very broad overview of what we have at the moment. So we have 35 plus startups. As you can see, most of them are already affiliated as well. And our ecosystem with industry partners and faculty members, of course, is growing every year. Well, then what our main project in that sense is the startup affiliation. So maybe actually also we have one affiliated startup also in the room with Federico today. I'm going to give you a quick overview of why you could become affiliated with us, why it's interesting. Of course, I'll send the link and everything into the chat later on as well. Maybe to also introduce Sarah at that moment. She's responsible for the startup affiliation, and I will then afterwards be responsible for supporting the startups that are becoming affiliated. One of the main reasons is, of course, the community. We're growing, we're doubling now every year, so that's quite cool. Then, furthermore, we have the AI Plus X Summit, which is happening in October. This time it's going to be 2 days, sorry. And every affiliated startups, or most of them, are going to have a booth themselves, and also access to an investor speed dating event. Furthermore, it's of course for strategic connections and visibility. So our LinkedIn community is obviously growing, and the same counts also for the hiring. And I think last but not least, we try to really offer tailored support, specifically in the AI entrepreneurship sector. Just quickly to go over the requirements. Again, I will also share this with you on the chat after. But so basically, just the technology has to be fit, as well as you have to be endorsed. There has to be a co-fund relationship and recency. Yes. Then, as not all of the startups or people that are present in this room are somehow affiliated to the AI Center, we also have other offers that people can benefit from. So I already mentioned the AI Plus X Summit. This is, of course, mainly targeted for our affiliated startups, but we also have a few booths available for other startups. If you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to us. I will also share our contacts later on. Then furthermore, the AI Center organizes each year a tech investing course, and that is open to all ETH, UZH, and EPFL students. That could be definitely of interest as well. It is held by Alex Illich. And then last but not least, we have regular networking events that is mostly for our affiliated startups, but we also offer various that are open for everyone. Yes, and last but not least, Maria already mentioned that a little bit before. So there's also a Talent Kick program, which is strongly supported by the ETH AI Center. And that is open to all master and PhD students from any university in Switzerland. Their applications are already open for this semester. And the idea is really to prepare you for the entrepreneurial journey. You don't need an idea, you don't need a team specifically. If you already have, so that's of course great as well. But please check that out as well. And yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us in person or via the chat here. And that's actually already it from my side.
Perfect. Thank you so much to both of you, or all three of you. I'm aware that there are many different programs and different things that are offered to entrepreneurs these times. So we will send you everything in the follow-up email afterwards. So all the people that registered now to this event, you'll receive a follow-up email with all the links and things, so you can be sure not to miss anything. Good. And also, I already see that the chat is in full lives. So that's really cool. Feel free to introduce yourself or ask questions if you have anything. It's really nice to see that, yeah, it's participatory. Also in the chat, I saw that the link that I put up is not working for the co-working space where you can win 10 free passes. So I would just keep excitement a bit higher, and I'll send the link again. That's working during the session. So now, sorry for we're a bit behind schedule, so sorry about that. We'll move into the part why everyone is here today, actually. So I'm really happy to put it over, or to give it over to Jerome. He will discuss the first version, or the first part of the event, and then we'll move it over to Federico for the second one. And I'm super happy that we also have Sophie here today. Sophie and Jerome will do the first part a bit together. Jerome will explain a bit more about how we're actually going to divide up the session. But thank you so much again for participating and for taking the time here today, to all of our speakers. I really appreciate it. And for anyone who has questions to our speakers, feel free to ask them in the chat, as I said, or keep them afterwards for the Q&A session. But then, with no further ado, I would be happy to hand it over to you, Jerome.
Thank you. So I'm going to handle the screen sharing now.
Yes.
You should be seeing my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Very good. Okay, so this session is going to be discussing developing an AI strategy for a non-AI startup. So, and this is why we have also Sophie joining us. Sophie is the founder of a non-AI startup, and we have discussed a little bit of how we could illustrate the framework that I'm going to present to you today with a concrete case, which is basically the startup that Sophie is currently getting started. So maybe just about myself very quickly. I have a relation to ETH. I'm an alumnus. I'm also a lecturer within the MAS MTech program, which is an executive education program where I teach the AI stream. So I teach to my students how to develop an AI strategy, but not specifically for startups as part of the overall program. So what I'm going to discuss here today is with a different cap, not the ETH cap, but that of my company, lastingimpact.ai, where I've developed an offer specifically to startups that I basically am going to present to you. And basically the idea here is that for a non-AI startup that's developing their product and marketing their product, there's an existing business plan with product design and addressing a market or product with a baseline business plan. And a lot of data is being created in the process, and transforming this business plan and this idea, this startup, into an AI-enabled startup is basically about utilizing the data that's being created by the startup, transforming it with AI and creating value for the startup to accelerate growth, but also to boost its valuation. And the way this works is, at least from my perspective, this is really about bringing the AI startup into a certain degree of AI literacy, so that the startup founders of the startup team understand what AI is and what it can do and cannot do. Sorry, there's something going on here with my animations. And figuring out AI use cases for their startup, which we're going to see with the case of Sophie's startup, Family Match, and then making sure that these ideas that are created on paper are validated, they are feasible, and this can be attained, or this can be achieved quite effectively and quickly by validating these ideas in a rapid prototyping mode. I'm going to give you a couple of examples more on this, but basically the way we do this with my company is there's an online executive education portal for the basic skills. Then I drive together with my network of experts AI ideation workshops, and then we offer together with a tech partner, which is also part of the business model for us, a sponsored machine learning sandbox where startups can do their experiments and validate their ideas and make sure that they make sense. So by experience, because I'm also an advisor to a couple of startups here in Zurich and around Zurich, this is the number of things. There are the number of things that's obstacles, basically, which is more perhaps in the head of the startup founders rather than in actuality, about why the AI value creation can take quite some time for startups to realize. And the first thing I always often hear from startup founders is said, we don't have an MVP yet, or we just getting started. We don't have enough data, so it doesn't make sense for us to really take care of that or ask ourselves what we should be doing with AI, which is, in my opinion, not true, because even if you're in the stage where you're building your MVP, you're already collecting data. And this data is basically the embryo or the seed of your current and future data asset or portfolio of data assets that you have and can already be leveraged by your company. And there's also an aspect about maybe non-AI founders not making the short effort or the little effort to understand what AI is, because many founders can also get started with software development without any prior knowledge of what software development is, because they can just express their need, and the external software company is just going to execute on their maybe high level need, which is not what is really easily achieved with AI solutions, for certain reasons, that the basic principles behind AI are really working differently than for software. So a piece of software takes data, existing data, whatever is extracting from a process, and they create via an application different different new things. So it could be an email, it could be an invoice, or it could be something that's visualized, but that's governed by the deterministic logic, where basically what's been produced by the software is always reproducible. And also there's a lot of strong body of knowledge for the past 40 50 years about what AI and what software can do. Whereas with AI solutions, there is no let's say intrinsic knowledge or understanding across the wider population also of entrepreneurs about how the logic of these technologies work, which is basically different, because out of the data that an AI solution will consume, a new piece of data that has a different meaning, a new meaning is being created. And the interpretation of this meaning requires domain knowledge and expertise, which is what founders have. And they need to understand how the new meaning is being created, especially considering that it's done by a probabilistic model, so that you will make sure that the actual value is being created. So putting this all together into a framework that can work for startups. A startup that wants to do AI needs to understand the technology so that they can figure out what AI use cases make sense for them based on what data, the data that they have, or the data that they should have or should start collecting, and also how do they evolve in their own data ecosystem? How do they map their ecosystem, and where is the value? Where is the data? Where is the value in their data ecosystem, so that they can figure out then an AI strategy. And why should they do this from the beginning? There's a clear path here towards creating value very early with AI for the startups, specifically also in the eyes of an investor. Obviously, every startup, non-AI startup, will come with a business plan and a way of creating value that can be enhanced by AI. And basically, what you see here is these extended bars here. Everything that you will see with the light blue in this presentation is the extra value that AI brings to your startup in terms of accelerating growth, but also boosting your valuation in the eyes of an investor. And if you take an existing startup with a founder's team, usually they are already first ideas, and I would call this dreams about how AI can create value for this company in the long term. But because these dreams are not structured into actual use cases with a clear connection between the data as an input, a prediction as an output, and then a way to create value out of this, most of the time the data itself is not being collected properly by the startup in the early stage, or is collected, but the data model, the data structure is changed very often, and then it makes it unusable when enough volume has been collected to train and operate machine learning models and AI solutions. Whereas a startup that from the beginning, even right before the launch of an MVP, has a clear idea, a clear structured way of structuring the AI use case roadmap, then the data that they will need to execute on this roadmap is going to be collected from the beginning in the right way, so that you'll have data assets within 1 or 2 years to start delivering the actual value on your AI roadmap. And this enables you to drive value creation across your startup value chain, across these 3 important value domains, which is the one being operating via automation, via other mechanisms, increasing your productivity and reducing your costs. Very importantly, also for startups, is to boost their revenue via pricing, but also via acceleration of growth on their market, and we'll see a couple of examples of that. And then also exploring new ways of creating value and of capturing entering new markets thanks to data and AI. And we will see how this could be panning out. And once you have these 3 value levers that are activated, or that there is a clear path to activation, this is where you stand out in front of the eyes of an investor, because you have a clear plan to create data value out of data and AI. Now, as hopefully we will make it clear today, there are many different AI use cases that are possible for each and every startup. And the difficulty is first to figure out which ones are going to create value, which ones are going to create potentially a huge value, so can be really transformative, we could even transform the business model of a startup, and which ones should be avoided because they don't bring enough value as compared to their costs, or they are high risk, or their feasibility is really questionable, and they should not be touched because they are going to drain the resources of the startup. And part of the difficulty that the founders who are not familiar with AI have at the beginning of this AI transformation journey is most of the time is basically a lack of literacy about what these AI systems are. There's not one AI. There are many different algorithms that do different things, and we're going to see a few examples here applied to Sophie's startup to give you maybe some kind of relatable examples and case studies, so that maybe you make it clear about what could be possible for your own company. So we'll start with the first one. Is a regression algorithm, so a class of algorithms that produce a numerical output, a value, and a very classic example of how regression algorithms work is that you look at the price or information about a house, about a property, its size, its location, the tax rate at its location, how old it is, and how many rooms you have, and you use this information to feed into a regression algorithm that will predict a value, and the value is the price of this property. And the way this works, the mechanisms to obtain such a regression algorithm is to take historic data about a number of houses or properties that have been sold in the past, for which you have this different pieces of information, their size, number of rooms, and so on, as well as their price. And then we will not go into the details of how exactly this training mechanism work, but basically with this information, you can train an algorithm that will do predictions. And then you can discard your historic data, and you can make predictions for new houses, new properties entering the market, where you have the information about their size and so on, and then the algorithm will make a prediction on its price. Okay, so now we will apply this to a startup, because we are not here probably maybe there are some property tech startups or would be startups in the room, but let's make something a bit more tangible with an actual startup. And we'll move to Sophie. Sophie, are you online?
Yes, thank you very much, Jerome. I look forward to making my startup one of the rubber ducks with the sunglasses. I like that picture. So hello, everyone. My name is Sophie. I was previously co-founder and CEO of the startup Vamos, which I exited last year. And I'm now looking at the idea for my second startup. First, important and exciting news. We've actually recently pivoted. So if you are a parent, or you're planning to become a parent, and you would like to help us validate the new direction, there's a QR code on the screen right now. And please go to the questionnaire, take the survey. And I can only recommend you to do this because, guys, you will be rewarded with amazing karma and very well-behaved kids. So it's totally worth it. Looking at the guinea pig startup that we're using today, it's called Family Match, and it's basically Tinder for parents. It's matching families with children of similar ages so they can hang out, meet up, and support each other. And it's basically facilitating integration and creating a community. Other features this app has, if we look at the next slide, it's got a marketplace with secondhand kids items. It's also got events, so you can know what's happening locally in your community. And there's meetups that you can join. The business model of Family Match is freemium. So there's the main revenue streams are from premium subscribers as well as from ad revenues. And the KPIs that are most important to Family Match are around boosting the conversion rate, optimizing the strategy, and of course, increasing the matches and the success rate of the matches that we make recommendations for the people involved. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Sophie. And as you will see, we will illustrate now these different types of algorithm with the example of Family Match. But basically, this is something that we did very quickly with Sophie, talking about 20 to 30 minutes together to figure out how to structure these use cases. And hopefully, you will see that this is not, it's not rocket science to come with an AI strategy rather quickly. So here we will start with an object in the value chain of Family Match, which is an upcoming family event, and we have the date and time. We know where it is. We know what kind of event it is, and the target demographics of the kids. And we also have the weather forecast for this event if we are 1 or 2 weeks in advance. And basically, we want to use this information about the family event to train a regression algorithm, but not to predict the price of the house, but to predict the attendance. How many families are predicted to attend this event, which then, is being trained by looking at, as the algorithm is being trained by looking at past events where we know the data about the events as well as the actual attendance, how many families attended. You train an algorithm, you come with a new event that's going to happen in 1 or 2 weeks, and you can predict what the attendance is, or is going to be, or produce a prediction. This enables you then, or enables Sophie and her co-founder to adjust and to boost the potential ad revenue, because she can boost she can push the events with the highest predicted attendance towards advertisers, boost the revenues from those events, and avoid costs. If she sees that the attendance is going to be very low, then she can cancel the event and avoid the cost of having to run them, which can then be translated into the actual core valuation KPIs of her startup, which are revenue and profits in this case. And a little bit of the profits comes from the cost avoidance, the revenue from revenues from ads and from events. Okay, so we have here a clear structure. Data as an input, an algorithm to produce a prediction, and then we have the business value that's being created operationally, but also at a valuation level of the startup, which is where the investors are going to be interested. So obviously you need to train this algorithm with historic data, and maybe this is the issue we were discussing before. The data is not there completely, so this would be past events organized by other event organizers, not Sophie's startup, and there will be missing data. But this data, should from now on be collected systematically, but it can also be retrieved. If you have the date of the event, you can retrieve, and the location, you can retrieve what was the weather on that day. You can maybe figure out the actual attendance if it was not monitored or captured by maybe looking at some pictures in or some tags in some social network and so on. And you can reconstruct these assets that you need to train the algorithm, and then it becomes your roadmap and your own data assets as a startup, because you will start to value this kind of data and to collect it systematically and enable then the use case as soon as you will have enough data. So in our case here, maybe we will have a few data from previous sources. We will systematically grow these data assets until we can release this attendance prediction algorithm and start creating the value. And once we have this chain that is really made clear and plausible, then we can show it to in the next round of funding pitch to potential investors, and making sure that they understand that we have a clear path to creating value with our data thanks to AI. Another example of algorithm, an algorithm classification algorithm, which typically work with pictures. So here we had pictures of cats and of non-cats, and you train a cat probability function to recognize which picture is that of a cat or not. And you can come with new pictures that are not labeled. You don't know what they are, but the algorithm will produce a probability of whether they are a cat or not between 0 and 1. And then somebody, depending on the use case and the trade-offs, will have to define what's the cat threshold for these pictures, and will then produce a prediction as to whether they are pictures of cats or not. And we will see true negatives and true positives, so correct predictions. We see also false positives and negatives, all this being influenced by the probability function itself and the threshold. And then basically you can implement your algorithm. And basically in the case of Sophie's startup Family Match, a case of applying a classification algorithm would be to try to identify a non-paying user, whether they are going to become a premium subscription user. So basically what you want to do in this case, or what Sophie wants to do, is to capture as much data as possible about each user, and especially also the non-paying user, and train an algorithm to recognize whether in the next period of time they are going to become a premium subscriber. And the way this is done is, again, you collect whatever data you need to that is relevant to making the prediction. You understand, you know, whether those users that you have for quite some time in your platform converted to premium or not. You train an algorithm, and then you can take any active user and predict whether they are going to convert to premium soon. And basically, if they are going to convert to premium soon, so it's a yes here, you don't want to do anything, because you will get the value anyway, right? Or at least that's the idea. But if you see that the predictive model says or thinks that this user is actually not going to convert to a premium subscription, you can try to nudge this user anyway. You can try to offer a discount, or you can try to take any actions to increase their likelihood to become a premium user and increase your conversion rate or your cost of acquisition, which can then be translated into the valuation KPIs we were saying before, profits, revenues, and also, if you track that, and most probably you should, the number of premium subscribers. Okay, so here again we have a clear visibility to which data asset we need to collect for the moment, because maybe the app is not out, there's no user data to be used, but clearly that should be on the data roadmap, so that we can at some point in about a year from now start rolling out this functionality and start realizing the value out of it. Another example of I'm checking the time. Yes. Okay. So of use case is to build a recommender systems to be able to recommend events to users. And we'll take here the example of Netflix, which is really together with Amazon and those kind of companies very well known for successfully deploying recommender systems to their users. So typically, for Netflix, that means recommending the right movie or the next movie to watch to the users. And the way they do that in a very simplified way, if I want to explain you how this works, they would take one user who has already watched a couple of movies and has a few movies left in the very, very small movie database, try to figure out whether we should recommend Falling in Love or Saving Private Ryan to user 2, based on their past movie watching history, as well as the ratings user 2 gave to the movies she watched. So basically, what you want to do first is to cluster out of the 8 community users. And again, this is a fictive example; it's very small. Actually, you would have millions of users. To cluster user 2 with other users that have the same viewing patterns and that gave the same kind of ratings to the movies that they saw in common. Out of this cluster that you can focus on, you can then build a regression algorithm that will predict what's going to be the expected rating of user 2 for the 2 movies she has not seen yet, so Falling in Love and Saving Private Ryan, by learning from the patterns from the other users. So you train the algorithm based on the opinions for the other users that you have, and you try to build a model that will help you or will provide a predicted rating for user 2 based on the patterns that could be learned from the other users. And then, based on this analysis here, with these 2 movies left in our database to recommend to user 2, we will give the one that has the highest predicted review rating from user 2. Now, obviously, this is Netflix, so it's not really relevant to Sophie and her startup. But basically, we can transpose this logic to Family Match. So basically, you would have a community of users that have attended a number of events, given some reviews, and you will have future events in your event pipeline. And then comes here user 2, for whom you want to recommend some events. She has a history of events that she liked or liked less. You want to do a recommendation, and you basically exactly use the same logic. You will cluster user 2 with other users that have the same taste, and then you will learn from the others who belong to the same cluster as user 2 to train a model to predict what user 2 is going to like. And maybe it's not going to be Saving Private Ryan in this case, but it's going to be a skiing event as opposed to a footballing or soccer event, which was predicted to have a lower rating for user 2 than the skiing event. So again, here, by being able to predict, to make a better recommendation to user 2, we will improve the event attendance, plus other things, right? I'm simplifying here the value being generated, and we will be able to impact the revenues and the profits at the valuation level. Last example, and I think is really important because it's a really hot topic at the moment. It's not going to go away for the next few years, is generative AI. So we all know, I believe all of you have already tried using ChatGPT or something equivalent. So basically, you are a user and you are chatting with an online service where you ask a question. And in this case, for instance, who became US president in 2009? The answer that you get, which is the correct one from the large language model, is going to be Barack Obama. Now, if you try to ask another more future forward-looking questions, like what events for family are there in Zurich next weekend, which could be a question that a user from Sophie is going to ask, basically, you won't get a correct answer, or you won't get any answer, because the large language model has been trained, yes, on a large body of knowledge, actually the entire internet, if you want to make it very simple. But basically, this knowledge was cut at the time when the model was trained, so it's unable to give you any information about specific use case events in Zurich that are going to happen in the future. So what Sophie wants to do is she wants to keep the large language model, but leave it aside for a second. She wants to build a data asset, which is basically a company knowledge base, which contains the future events, a description of what they are and their schedule, capture also user feedbacks from the past, marketing content and whatnot. And when the user asks the question, what are the family events in Zurich next weekend? Basically, this question is transformed by some algorithms so that knowledge specific to this question is being extracted from the knowledge base that you see here. And typically that would be a future event, maybe in a couple of weeks, plus a number of reviews from users. And this is added to the question from the user and being sent as a single prompt to the large language model. And the large language model this time can produce a relevant answer by having received context information from the database from Sophie's company. And obviously, this is much more powerful, and it can help boost event attendance again, and can help boost the valuation of Sophie's companies by having a clear path to boosting the revenues. And going one step further into optimizing her operations, you can think of having this kind of a model working real time in the background of her website, in the backend, where basically you would have a connected user, and the user is browsing the events on the website, and basically automatically in the background, the system will retrieve information from the database from Sophie's companies, extract relevant chunks of context that are specific to the user's location, the user data, the demographics, and what this user is actually looking on the website. Provide this to a large language model that will provide personalized dynamic content to be displayed on the website. Like typically here, that would be a specific future event that's relevant to the user, to her history, and to her demographics, and so on and so forth. And here again, this is to reduce, one effect here is to reduce the marketing costs, because you don't need to write the description of the future events. It has many different value levels, of course, right? But here we would be having an impact on the profitability, because we would reduce the marketing cost. I mean, this has a certain cost to implement this kind of architecture, but we'll neglect that for the current discussion. Okay, so we've seen now 4 different use cases, and we want to see now how, even before we implement them, just having them on paper, how and in our heads, or in Sophie's and her co-founders' mind and innovation roadmap, how can we immediately create value for the company? And basically, the idea here is you would want to help, or Sophie would want to develop an addition to her pitch, where she explains how her data, the future data of her company, is going to be put to use with AI to create value for the company. So we have here a couple of those use cases that we discussed. We could also think about having the data that Sophie generates with her company being used to start cross-selling with third parties, like an insurance company or a retail company that could make advertisements linked to events, or better understand the market of families thanks to events analytics. We've seen how these use cases are connected to specific operational KPIs that creates operational value across her value chain, and then how we connect these to the valuation KPIs of Sophie's companies, helping her to pitch her company, with a better valuation towards investors. But that's just the what. Then, that's the how, and you need to make sure, Sophie will have to make sure that she can explain to her investors that she has a clear plan to capture and collect and curate this data, the data that will feed and enable this AI roadmap here, and that she have a clear plan of when the value will start to be generated for the different use cases that she has lined up. And as well, an analysis of her data ecosystem is going to help her crystallize this value and make sure that this is being there's a clear aspect here of engaging with her data ecosystem, considering also that some of the larger companies in Sophie's company's ecosystem, like the big retailer, for instance, could be a future strategic buyer for her company, so that she has already a couple of exit opportunities that are crystallized in her data ecosystem. And okay, so we have seen how the three value levers, so optimizing the operations, boosting revenues, and enabling adjacent business models, can make you stand out in front of investors and produce a coherent path to create this AI value for yourself, for the growth of your company, but also let's say, to pitch this to potential investors. Okay, so it's basically this program that my company offers to startups. Is basically via an accelerated path to generate this AI strategy for each one of your AI companies via some executive education online via our online AI Academy. Myself or my fellow experts from my network coming up to help you with AI ideation workshops, and finally you being able to validate your ideas running on technology by the technology offered by our partner who sponsor this in the no code environment, and this can be really achieved in a minimum effort, also as we've seen with Sophie, so with a limited number of interactions that we've had together. Okay, that's it for myself. Okay, we will discuss during the Q&A, but if you want to take contact with me and you're interested in participating to such a program, feel free to contact me, and we'll see when we can run the next iteration.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jerome. Also, thank you so much, Sophie. Hopefully this gave a bit of an overview to startups who currently don't have AI as part of their business model yet. A few tips and tricks of how to actually incorporate it a bit more. I know it's a super deep or a complex topic, so thank you so much for breaking it down to us so well, Jerome. Now to the second part of the input, we invited a speaker who is actually a spin-off of the ETH AI Center, who you heard a little bit about right in the beginning from Vanessa. And he will be talking a little bit about what it is like to have a AI startup, what's important, maybe some learnings, maybe has some direct reactions to what we just learned. But it's really nice to have you here, Federico. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about Dinius as well.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you to Jerome as well for your input. Very interesting presentation. So I don't have any slides, and I try to leave this session very informal. I just wanted to share my input and my experience from the founding of Dinius, and the agenda of what I'm gonna speak about is gonna be first a bit of introduction about myself, then introduction about the company. And then I would like to talk about some challenges and lessons learned about founding an AI startup, and then some outlooks and future opportunities of this business. So about me, I am originally from Italy, and I have a background in engineering, and I am a background in engineering and then in data science, and I moved to Zurich roughly 5 years ago, and I was also a lecturer and a visiting professor for economics in University of Bergamo, and then the major professional experience for me is this founding of Dinius, so entrepreneurial experience, where I started the company roughly 2.5 years ago, Dinius, with the goal of, first of all, being autonomous, and then actually I found and I understood that there was a market for the skills, the data science and AI skills. This was actually before the ChatGPT boom. So we saw some opportunities even before the boom, and we took on the hype when the hype started. And also the experience and the lessons learned that I want to share right today with you are from early stage founders, me, who still hasn't figured it out completely. So take them with a bit of a grain of salt. But the most important, what we do basically in Dinius is we are AI startup, AI implementation, where we target the B2B market, specifically in financial services, and we are bootstrapping. So Jerome, we are not a target for you because we're not looking for investors. And so I started the company 2.5 years ago as a freelance business, and then I scaled it up with a partner that joined the company 6 months ago. And now we're a team of 4. We are a B2B company. We want to bring AI models into production, specifically for financial services. We have some use cases that we encountered in our experience from talking with clients. So what we do specifically is we talk with clients, we understand their needs, and then we understand which data that we can leverage to create value from this data. Most of the use cases we are focusing on right now are about generative AI in the financial services, and some use cases include, for example, an invoice matching system that we are deploying to an international bank, where the goal is to match and allocate payments into correct invoices. Sounds like a trivial task, but it actually creates a lot of value, and it's currently a heavy manual process that banks have fully dedicated team to. Then we are working on KYC again for banks, so onboarding processes for new clients, where banks spend a lot of time on data entry, and this is something that can be automated with generative AI as well. And then also roughly on the same type of use case, there is non-performing loans. So we are extracting information from non-performing loans to create credit ratings from these loans, and help banks understand what is the valuation and what is the real valuation of these loans that usually come into huge portfolios, and the banks don't really know what is the value of these loans, which are good loans, even if they are non-performing, which are not good. So overall, what we do is we use AI, and we want to deploy AI into B2B processes to automate back office processes and manual and repetitive work, in order to centralize the know-how of companies, in order that this information can be stored into an AI model, and this AI model can be then leveraged throughout the life of the company, can be improved throughout the life of the company, and can be used as a sort of a virtual employee. And also this also reduces the need for also reduces the risk of handover when employees leave. For example, this is also a big problem that happens in companies or in corporates, especially when when information and know-how of the company is concentrated into employees, and then when employees leave, it's a very big problem, because there is the transfer of knowledge is also very problematic. So this is in a nutshell what we do. About some lessons learned and challenges that we encountered along the way. So first of all, I would like to thank ETH and the community of Zurich for, first of all, for this opportunity, and then for the support that we got throughout our experience and our company life. And so thank you for the affiliation, and to affiliation of first to the ETH and then to the ETH AI Center. And this is a point that brings me to the first tip that I would like to give to early stage founders is to value the network. So this is very important for me. This is what I think is probably most important thing in my professional career, is value the network and try to grow it as early as possible. So value the challenge that you have. For example, I had the opportunity of having ETH as a challenge. So if you need help, or if you also need feedback on your ideas, try to talk to professors or to mentors, for example. This is something that I found very useful. Also, another very complicated thing is when working B2B is managing the cash flow and the sales cycles of the deals. So this is something that maybe is a bit overlooked when somebody goes into business for the first time, because one may think that, well, I work and then I get paid. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because we have to manage, especially us, because we are bootstrapping, we have to manage the delays between when you work, so and when the clients pay, and then when you have to actually pay the employees. This is a very important thing to actually have it clear from the beginning, and basically pivot your company strategy around these problems. And third tip that is, again, very, very important for me and for my day-to-day work is communication. And so communicating the ideas is, I think, crucial and very, very important. So I would say that it's even more important than the technology. So even though we are an AI startup and we work with technology, what you actually sell to clients is not the technology, and you don't close the deals because you have the coolest and most revolutionary technology on the market, but you close the deals if you actually solve a problem for them. And this is something that probably worked for you, Jerome, as well, when working with Sophie, because she had the need to develop these AI models, and you were able to provide these models to her. This is what we do exactly the same with our clients. So we want to understand very specifically what are their problems, and the most important and the most successful ideas and the most successful use cases are the ones that solve a very specific problem, a very niche problem that is very clear to the people in the business, but maybe a bit overlooked by people who are outside the business. And then you can build the technology around it. So first, understand the problem, then the technology can follow, and you need to be able to communicate the skills and the use case to your clients. These are just a couple of tips that I thought about before the webinar, when I was preparing the webinar. But of course, it's a very exciting field. It's very exciting to be in this AI field, because everybody's excited to talk about it. This is something that is probably not the same for every technology. So we are in the AI company, and everybody is excited to talk with us. And it's easy to get first meetings with decision makers. And the business, because the business wants to invest in AI, and the chief of companies are open to innovative ideas, because they don't want to be left out, And then the middle managers as well are open to innovative ideas because this may help them climb company ladders and get promotion and so on. And before the ChatGPT boom and the hype, this was more difficult. So everybody was more skeptical about AI. But after this hype started, it's becoming more and more easier to get intros and to talk about this technology. And then, of course, the technology is growing very steadily and very important growth. Every month or every couple of weeks, there is a new model released from the big players, because we are working mostly with Gen AI. So every week, every couple of weeks, every month, there is a new model being released, and you can build and you can solve new problems with these new models. So it's easier and easier to package a solution to a business problem using AI. And of course, there are plenty of reports and institutions saying that there will be very important productivity gains from the adoption of AI in B2B. And they talk about up to $4.5 trillion, because now is the first time in history where white-collar jobs can be automated. And so these niche use cases of information management, such as invoice matching or KYC and PLs, these are all use cases that can be automated now that before they could not be. And last but not least, one other tip or opportunity for startups is to use AI internally. And this goes into the direction of what Jerome said before. We are working more in the Gen AI side of it. So it's very important to start using AI internally, because one may be tempted to sell the technology but not use it. But it's very important to use it as well. So for example, writing assistant with ChatGPT, or we are developing a model for invoice registration, because when you have this technology in-house, you are also more credible. And use cases such as the back office use cases that we are also selling to clients are also very easy to package internally and use and create value in productivity gains. So yeah, this is all for me.
Thank you so much, Federico, for giving us a bit of an overview of what it's been like for you as an AI startup in the market. Because we don't have that much time anymore for the Q&A, I want to jump in right to it. So for anyone who has a question to either Federico, Jerome, or Sophie, please just unmute yourself and ask the question directly, or you can also paste it into the Q&A section. Anyone want? I see Cinzia, you just added a question to the chat. Do you want to ask the question directly in the plenum?
Yes, sure. Well, do you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Hi, my name is Cinzia, and I'm the founder of MyQ. We develop a platform for combined user and AI testing for digital products. And yeah, I was on the Start Summit last week, and I talked to potential investors. So we are now in the finalizing of our MVP to test with the potential customers. And yeah, they're really enthusiastic about the solution, and they agreed to the testings. I made a lot of cold calls, and yeah, the potential investors said that I should ask them for a letter of intent, that this could be better for the investment I'm looking for. So, but I'm a little bit scared that it's a little too much already for the potential customers if I ask already for a letter of intent. What is your opinion on this?
So Linda, I can have a stab at this one. I would say it's never too much. You know, if they like your product, they want to keep working with you. All you can do is ask politely, ask in the right way, ask at the right time. But at the end of the day, it kind of saves your time and their time if they actually, when push comes to shove, when it really comes down to it, they actually say, well, no, we don't want to pay for this or something. So it's signaling. It's also the reason on the questionnaire that I sent out, I also asked for email addresses of people who are interested to hear more, because it really tells you at the end of the day, are people actually interested or not? And that is what investors want to know. So I would jump over your shadow, as we do not say in English, but I think it's a German expression, and ask them in a very polite way.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe if I can add something that's also maybe hopefully to launch the conversation, is that what Federico just mentioned about having startups also deploying themselves and adopting AI solutions also thanks to vendors. I think that this is really two approaches, or even three approaches if you consider even consulting, right? Consulting will help you, whatever the format you would use, maybe with a business school or with the high scale or with the ATH junior consulting arm, which name I forgot, to help you figure out an AI strategy that can help you really accelerate your AI maturity. Adopting yourself, let's say, ready-made AI solutions provided by external companies, also a great way to accelerate your journey and to bring also, let's say, credibility to your AI journey or to your future AI value, well, to your customers, internally for yourself to make sure that your AI fuel growth is going to materialize, and also to investors. But there's a key aspect on also raising your literacy and your maturity, your understanding of the technology and how it relates to the value that is on your hand. And I think you have these three aspects here. The three pillars is really having maybe a long-term strategy, having the skills and understanding, as well as making the right make or buy decisions. And sometimes, a lot of the value can be accelerated by acquiring external solutions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There was a second question in the chat by Serge. He is asking a general question to all AI developers. Do you encounter any limitations in crossing international legal borders when implementing your applications? Do any of the speakers feel?
Yeah, sure. This is an issue, of course, because you need to be very careful about where do you store your data, where do you process your data, and especially when you work like us in financial services and you treat very sensitive data, it's very important to be careful about this. And most of the time, the clients have very strict regulations, so the data cannot exit, for example, the EU or some other regulations. And in this case, you either need to set up a special infrastructure on-prem, or you can deploy the cloud resources in specific regions in the world. So there are almost every cloud vendor has the possibility to deploy cloud resources all over the world. So this is a point of attention, but it's not a very big deal, a very big problem. So it's not unsolvable, let's say.
And I would add to this that this is an aspect to be taken very, very seriously, and it should not be improvised, or you're just asking by somebody at the water fountain or at the cafe what they think about this. You really need to talk to legal specialists, and there are a few. It's not many, but there are a few. Lawyers who specialize in these aspects, AI and data, and these are the people that you should be looking for. And I mean, as far as we are concerned, we are working with a specialist legal team who are really our advisors in terms of what kind of recommendations we make, and this is the kind of people that we draw into our workshops. But here you need to be careful that you select the right people, because some non-specialist legal advisories, list this as a core competence on their, on their website or on their brochures, and you need to be careful that they have the actual expertise. There's also an aspect of the legal framework changing very, very fast. I mean, the regulatory bodies are trying to catch up with the technological developments and the business applications, and the legal landscape is changing also very fast. So it's really worthwhile they're asking for some advices from people who are up to date with these aspects.
There was a second question also in the chat from Anna Maria, and she was wondering about how to proceed data for her medtech startup while she is collecting the data. What, if there are any, precautions that she needs to be taking. Do you have anything to add for her case?
Yeah, so if it's a medtech company, there are obviously some extra regulatory restrictions or difficulties that need to be checked. But basically, the idea here is that you should a little bit, what we discussed before, is that you need to figure out your use cases and which data you will need to fuel those AI use cases in the future, and then you will understand what you need to collect and with degree of quality and of granularity and what kind of volume going forward, so that you enable your future AI roadmap by collecting the right data from the start. I don't know if that answers the question, or there were more specific aspects linked to the compliance issues.
I think it was more general, how to deal with data for medtech startup. But yeah, thank you. If there are any follow-up questions, you can still add them to the chat, or also if anyone wants to ask the question directly here in the plenum, please feel free.
I would have a question, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know how I can raise the hand. I could, or whatever. So I have a question. Do you have like one tip for founders who have a non-tech company, how they can integrate AI in their startup, like really early stage, idea stage startups, how they can?
So yeah, I would obviously this is the part that I would recommend, is to inform yourself on what the technology is and how it works, because it's not magic, but it requires a little bit of deep dive. And again, I mean the service we offer is I mean the basic AI skills that we offer is about 1.5 hours of short videos where we explain this. This is the kind of efforts that we estimate is required to have the minimum knowledge level of knowledge to start really ideating your AI use cases. And it requires obviously experience. You need to do a couple of iterations to have plausible and realistic AI use cases being ideated. But basically, you should not be going into learning how to code machine learning algorithms or so. This was maybe necessary 10 years ago. It's not the case anymore, because the technology to enable people to do their first experiments and to validate their ideas is now available. And you don't need to code anymore to be able to train your first algorithms and to verify that your AI use cases are actually doable. The caveat here is, as soon as you want to move in production and you have your AI solutions that you have developed, really being exposed to your customers or used in your business processes or in your solution, then you need to have specialists. So either it could be external companies, or you need to hire specialists in data science or in machine learning operations. But as soon as you move away from experimenting with rapid prototyping, AI and machine learning platforms, then you need to have real skills in your team.
Thank you.
There was another question from someone looking for a co-founder, a tech co-founder with AI skills or an AI background. What do you guys recommend for where best to find such a co-founder? Do you have any tips?
Well, I don't know if Sophie or Federicos or Jerome wants to mention something, but from us, I can recommend the Talent Kick program. And also, this is a question that every time I meet founders, I ask how they met each other, and it's total random. So you need to go and talk with people and try to find something. And also other platforms that work also for some founders. A couple of weeks ago, in a conversation, they told me that they were on the Y Combinator matchmaking platform, and they met there. And then, of course, they had a couple of meetings. But this is all I can offer from my side on this point.
Or maybe just reach out on LinkedIn to people that have a profile that matches with your idea. That could maybe work as well.
Another idea would also be, I know the current business concept course is already running, but the next one in fall, there you have a lot of people who actually don't have an idea yet and want to join other ideas with different backgrounds and so on. And there would also be an opportunity to get to know potential co-founders.
I would also add the Join Up website that's sometimes got people looking for co-founders. And I would say it's not something to rush into. Really pick each other very consciously. And there's also a great resource online called 50 Questions for Co-Founders. Maybe I'll put that in the chat, where you can ask each other and really get to know that your values align.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good contacts being made between the startup founders I was working with in settings like Impact Hub or the Technopark or those kind of settings, which is basically where, you know, the people with the right desires and willingness to start with the entrepreneurship path are going to be concentrated. So this is where you should go and drive your networking activities.
Good, then I think we have maybe time for one last short question. If there is any, feel free to just ask it right in the plenum. You can unmute yourself. I think we have a shy audience today. But I'm sure someone still has a question. We're still quite many people on the call. Use the opportunity while we have so many qualified people who can answer your question.
I had a question actually. I don't know if you can hear me at the moment.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So just in regards to the use of AI in systems, is there any issues that we might experience with the user's desire to actually enter into the use of AI in systems? So any issues we might have with getting users to be happy to share their data and how that can then be used within the systems? Sorry, maybe that's a bit of a vague question.
No, I think you know where you're getting at is you know there's the issue of consent management, right? Or managing the consent, and obviously if you just ask for consent without providing any value, it's going to be hard to have your users clicking the yes button. But if you have a clear value proposition about how sharing their data is going to make your service really better, and to create more value for them as users, then you know this is where you should start. This is, you know, by explaining them what is the value that they're going to get by sharing this their data with you, directly or indirectly explaining them this, right? Which could be a way of driving your rate of consent.
So you would actually opt to share all of that information up front to say how we're utilizing the data in quite a public way?
Yeah, and you can make posts, you know, saying, hey, you know, we just released this new functionality that's built on user data, and that's improving the you know the value of our service or our product to our user community. And if you get known on the market for you know creating value out of this data, there will be more inclination for people to share this with you, and you can get the consent afterwards. You know, there's the thing where if you have a website, you are asked upfront whether you want to share, but you can still ask afterwards if you have a concrete value proposition for the particular piece of data that you want to start collecting from your users, that you get their consent, but this time, but being specific of what value you're going to create out of this this data that you collect. And it goes into what we were discussing before about structuring your AI use cases with a clear value.
Good. Thank you so much, Jerome. And yeah, with that, I would actually like to finish off the event already. I put a feedback form in the chat if you feel like adding your feedback to today's session. Also, if you have any topics that you would like to hear or learn more about in the future, we're always happy to hear yeah, what you still want to learn. And with that, I would love to thank all of our speakers of today for taking so much time to add your knowledge to this group of people who joined us today. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you, you will receive a follow-up form with it, or a follow-up email with all the different programs and just links in general that we talked about today. So if you have any questions to that, you can always answer directly to that email, or also find our speakers on LinkedIn if you want to reach out to them directly. Good. So thank you so much, and hope to see you at one of our next events. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye-bye.